Her name was Emily Carson.
At only 21 years old, she had enlisted in the U.S. Army, following the path of her late father, a decorated sniper who had been lost in Afghanistan. Emily grew up hearing whispers about her father's legendary precision, the shot that saved a platoon pinned down in Kandahar, the calm way he measured wind and distance when others shook with fear. She carried that legacy like a weight across her shoulders. But when she arrived at Fort Carson for advanced sniper training, no one saw her as her father's daughter. They only saw her as a girl too young to hold the burden of a rifle. The men laughed behind her back. 3 of them especially, Corporal Hayes, Sergeant Duncan, and Private Ramirez. They were older, cockier, convinced experience was all that mattered. During drills, they mocked her stance, her trigger discipline, even the way she breathed when she took aim. To them, she was nothing more than a story waiting to fail. They whispered, "She'll wash out before the month ends."
But Emily didn't argue.
She didn't defend herself. She listened, observed, and held on to every insult like fuel for the fire burning inside her. One cold dawn, their commander, Master Chief Harrington, a retired Navy SEAL turned instructor, called the unit to the range. Harrington was no ordinary man, scar across his cheek from Fallujah, arms like stone, and a stare that could cut through lies. He commanded respect simply by standing still. He carried his own rifle, custom-built, worn by years of battle.
His lesson that morning wasn't about posture or breathing. It was about humility. "You think you're snipers?"
Harrington growled, his voice gravel thick. "A sniper is more than a steady hand.
It's patience. Calculation. Understanding that one shot isn't just metal, it's life or death. Most of you can't see past your ego.
So today, we'll see who's a shooter and who's just a trigger puller." He pointed at the steel targets across the valley. The longest stood at 4,100 meters, so far away it looked like a tiny glint of metal under the rising sun. The distance was near impossible. Only a handful of confirmed shots had ever been recorded at such a range. The men snickered, nudging each other.
"No one here's pulling that off," Hayes muttered. "Not even her."
Emily heard it but kept her eyes on the target. Harrington scanned the group, then locked eyes with Emily.
"Carson.
You're first."
The laughter grew louder. "Her? You gotta be kidding me," Duncan barked.
Ramirez clutched his side from laughing so hard. Emily stepped forward, her jaw set like stone. Harrington handed her his rifle.
"This isn't a drill. One shot. You either calculate it or you don't."
The weapon felt heavy, more from the weight of expectation than the steel. Emily lay prone on the cold ground, scope pressed against her eye. She measured distance, factored wind speed, adjusted for air pressure. Every memory of her father teaching her on the family's ranch came rushing back, the way he told her to feel the bullet's path before she fired. Behind her, the men kept jeering.
"She'll miss by a mile. Should have brought binoculars just to watch her fail." Emily ignored them.
Her finger steadied on the trigger. The wind gusted, then calmed. She exhaled slowly, pulling the world into silence. In that stillness, it was just her, the scope, and the target. The shot cracked like thunder. For a moment, no one breathed. Then ping. The steel target quivered, struck dead center.
The laughter died instantly. Hayes' mouth hung open. Ramirez blinked in disbelief. Duncan muttered, "No way."
Harrington's lips curled into the faintest of grins. "Lesson 1, he said, his voice cutting through the stunned silence, "never underestimate the quiet ones."
That was the moment everything changed. But Emily's story didn't end with that single shot. That was only the spark.
Word of her accuracy spread through the base like wildfire.
Some called it luck.
Others whispered about her father's blood running through her veins.
But Emily knew it was neither. It was preparation meeting opportunity.
Yet with recognition came new trials. The men she embarrassed on the range weren't about to let her climb above them without resistance.
Hayes confronted her one night in the mess hall.
"You think one lucky shot makes you a sniper," he hissed, leaning close.
You're nothing without Harrington's rifle. You'll fold when it's real. Emily didn't flinch. Guess we'll find out. And soon enough, they did. 2 weeks later, the unit was sent on a joint training mission in the Rockies. What was meant to be simulation quickly turned into chaos. An unexpected storm cut communications, and the group became separated in the mountains. Harrington led Emily and 2 others down one ridge, while Hayes, Duncan, and Ramirez stumbled into hostile territory. Unbeknownst to them, smugglers using the mountains as a trafficking route had been alerted to their presence. Gunfire cracked through the night. The smugglers weren't playing war games. They were real, armed, and deadly. Harrington immediately assessed the situation. "Carson," he barked, handing her binoculars, "you've got the best eyes. Find them." Through the scope, Emily spotted Hayes' group pinned down behind rocks nearly 3 kilometers away. The smugglers had superior ground and were closing in fast. Hayes was wounded, panic written all over his face. "This isn't training anymore," Harrington growled. "If we don't act, they're dead." Emily felt the weight of choice. The others looked to Harrington, expecting him to take the shot. But instead, he placed his trust in her. "You've got the calm. Do it." She dropped prone, adjusted her rifle, and let the storm rage around her. The wind screamed across the peaks, snow slicing through the air. Calculating the shot felt like threading a needle in a hurricane. Yet Emily's mind sharpened under pressure. Her fingers squeezed. The first target dropped instantly, a smuggler collapsing mid-stride. Chaos erupted on the enemy's side. The second shot cut through the storm, striking true. Within moments, the smugglers scattered, retreating into the dark. The silence that followed was deafening. From across the ridge, Hayes' wide eyes locked onto hers through the distance, a mix of disbelief and reluctant respect. When the unit regrouped, Harrington didn't need to say much. His nod said everything: trust earned, respect commanded. But for Emily, the respect of her peers was never the goal. Her mission was always bigger: to prove that courage doesn't ask for permission. It simply acts. She had silenced the laughter, not with words, but with precision, discipline, and heart. By the time Emily graduated sniper school, she wasn't just another soldier. She was the one they called when the impossible was on the line. The girl they once mocked as too young became the legend whispered about in barracks and remembered in stories of survival. And years later, when the name Carson appeared in the books of military history, it wasn't just her father's legacy, it was hers.